So if you play games, I most likely don't have to tell you about Destiny 2 and what it is. And I am a noob, so I won't even try to begin to explain it all, like the lore and the enemies and what an exotic is versus what anything is really. What this video is for is new players, or the I tried it that one time but fell off players. And with a new expansion looming over the horizon, I'm sure there are people just like me that wonders, is this the one that I'm going to finally try? Well, the game is technically free, so it sounds like a perfect time for an experiment. Is this game worth the time and money investment? How much do I get if I don't want to spend a dime? Hopefully, I'll help answer those questions throughout this video. This game has been out since 2017. That's 5 years. Everyone has that one friend in real life, or maybe a few mates on Discord, that always gush about the game. You think to yourself, yeah, I'll give it a try, but everyone is so far ahead of me, and you end up talking yourself out of it for one way or another. And maybe you think to yourself, I don't want to spend money on something that I'm not even sure I'm going to like. So I'm going to go through a lot of information here to let you know exactly what you're getting for, well, nothing. So you can make an informed decision on if you actually want to spend money and, more importantly, time. So keep in mind at the very end, when I give my recommendation, that is just me personally. But hopefully throughout the video, I will give you plenty of information on why or why not I think that it's worth it, which will help inform you. So let's start with the game and gameplay itself. Visuals. Throughout this video, you will be seeing all the visuals, and if there is one thing that Bungie nails beyond the shadow of a doubt, that is the visuals. Characters, environments, setting the tone of each area, weapons, vehicles, everything has this amazing amount of polish. There really isn't that much to talk about, because just look at it. Gameplay. It's hard to describe just how great the gameplay is, how it makes you feel like an unbeatable god at times, but also can make certain enemies truly feel like the unbeatable foes that they claim to be. If there is something that Bungie nails beyond the shadow of a doubt, it is the gameplay and the visuals, like I said before. But these go so close together, they're pretty much a tie, and they both make for a great experience. So it looks great and it plays great. Let's talk about all that you can get in here for free. My first recommendation is, if you have a past character, maybe you're like me and you started it way back on like one of their free weekends or when it came out on PlayStation Plus. So if you have a previous character, I seriously suggest starting over with a new character. I say this for a few reasons. I tried with a character that I had started. I think I only had a few hours with them. This actually made things quite confusing, because it basically just started me in the part that was an open world / Ubisoft kind of effect on me. So much to do, so many icons. I had no idea what I could and could not do for free. This was almost bad enough for me to call quits on the entire project right there. I just simply was lost. And the other reason is the progression was extremely slow. I'm not sure how everything works in the background, but I just didn't seem to progress at all in the few hours of gameplay. So I decided to start a new character. This fixed everything, because they start you off with a great opening and slowly bring you up to speed. Best part is I definitely felt the difference in the loot that I was getting, and therefore the progression felt much better. So please start a new character. Trust me, and it won't even take you that long to get back up to speed. Destiny 2's intro opens very similar to actually Destiny 1, where you get revived by a ghost on the outskirts of Russia. I played the Destiny 2 beta in the beginning, and this is way different. This is basically the culmination of everything Destiny. And it's also a great way to experience if this happens to be your very first time playing Destiny at all. It does a great job of integrating in the things that happened in a past or past DLCs. For instance, spoiler alert, they bring up Cade's death a lot. And I do feel like there is enough information that, yeah, it would have been nice to experience it myself, but it's not like going into the season 3 of a TV show and just having no idea what the hell's going on. After this 21-step opening quest, it brings you to the tower and it introduces you to all the main people there, which will help orient you to all the quest givers and game modes, important for later. Then you get a quest to get your very first exotic. You will be brought up to the proper power level you will need in order to participate in most of the game, like strikes and crucible. And keep in mind, this opening segment really only takes 3 to 5 hours, depending on how much you want to explore. Probably even less than that. That's just how much it took me. After this intro, it ends with you on the tower, which really helps you orient everything that you're going to be able to do for free. So let's start there on the tower. If you need to get there, you can start on the Destinations tab in the Director. On the PlayStation, it's by holding down the touchpad or the back button on the Xbox or the M key on the PC. At first glance, this could be a lot to take in. You might literally not know where to start. So the tower is a good place for side objectives and bounties, and just a really good place to start off altogether. And this is a great place to go before and after you plan on playing for a few hours. There are several people here that give bounties. These bounties are good for the various game modes. Each game mode has its own set of bounties and own set of objectives, and most of them can be completed just by playing the game mode or having something specific equipped. So it's always a good idea to just check in before you start a game mode. Additionally, each quest giver has a rank. The more you play the game, the more bounties you do, the higher rank you get, and the better stuff you get. So if you're playing a game mode without doing bounties, you're really missing out on a lot. Very few of the icons or characters found in the tower will actually lead you to anything that you need an expansion for or you need to pay money for. So this can be very valuable to familiarize yourself with the tower, so you don't accidentally click on a planet, for instance, like the moon, where you need to pay for something. Now that you're familiar with the tower, let's talk about all the other stuff you're going to get for free. Crucible. This is the PvP. This has various game modes like elimination, control, so on. All the guns and all the armor are scaled to be equal to each other. So even if you have a basic blue gun, you should be fine. Let's say you give this a try, but it's not 100% for you, but you give it a good try and you quit about after 2 hours. So that would make the total amount of hours with the beginning quest and this, now you're up to 5 to 10 hours total. Then you have Vanguard. Here is where you can launch a playlist of just strike missions. These are actually really good to go through before you do anything like PvP or any of the higher level stuff. Plus, these are all kind of story based, so it makes it feel like there's a little bit of a progression there as well. And this playlist allows you to go one strike after another in mostly a random order. So the strikes, each one takes about 15 minutes, sometimes less, sometimes more, and there's about 11 strikes. This adds up to about 165 minutes or 2.75 hours. And this is assuming that you only play each strike once. So far, our total amount of hours without paying any money is 7 to 12 hours. Then we have the Gambit mode. This is an interesting mode that has a little bit of PvE, but also a little bit of PvP. Basically, you kill enemies, you collect what's called motes, and then you bank those motes in your bank. Once you get enough of those, you summon a primeval. The first team to summon and kill their primeval wins. So you're not necessarily shooting other players all the time so much as you are trying to race against them. That's the basics of the game mode. There's also some more complicated stuff like what happens when you bank your moats, and also the ability to invade the enemy world and take a couple of them out. But overall, that's the gist of it. Similar to Crucible, the weapons and the power and the armor all scale to make everyone equal. I play several matches as a lowly level 15 on the same team as people well into their triple digits, and I would frequently end up at the top of my team. Most kills, most moats collected, and even most damage done. So their scaling system clearly works great to make a noob like me still feel like I can run and even topple the big boys. So let's treat this similar to Crucible. You give it the old college try, but you get bored after like 2 hours. I doubt it, but let's just for argument's sake. So now the total amount of hours is 19 to 14 hours. Then there is the Legends tab. The Legends tab has a single raid on it, the Vault of Glass raid. This is currently the only free raid that you can do. Any other raids will need expansions for them. And according to Google, it will take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to learn everything you need to know, plus attack patterns, and go through everything. The raid itself can take 1 hour. So let's split the difference, presuming this is your first time ever doing it, and let's say it takes you about 2 hours to complete. So now our total amount of hours is 11 to 16. Then we have the various planets themselves. Each planet has a collection of hidden chests and small missions that are called lost sectors. These are usually hidden and scattered throughout the entire open area, with a bunch of enemies and bosses and mini bosses. I would say that each planet would take about an hour to get everything. This includes the time it would take to walk around to each treasure chest, defeat all the enemies along the way, and defeating enemies in the lost sectors. Obviously, this could be more if you add on patrols, which is a good idea because a lot of the patrols are just kill a number of things or gather a number of things from those that you kill. And you can do this all while looking for the chests. So technically it could be more on some planets and less on others, but let's say an average of 1 hour. There are 5 different areas to explore and get all the chests and secret stuff for. So that makes a total of 5 hours. Now our total is up to 16 to 21 hours. Then we have what's called Eternity. You'll notice this one has the 30-year next to it. And there's actually a lot of content that is walled off by the Bungie 30-year expansion pack, but there is still plenty that you can enjoy for the free version. Basically, the game mode is you go into a map, it's the same map over and over again, but you fight random enemies for each area that you go to. Along the way, you're picking up various crafting items and treasure keys. The treasure keys, you go back to this area and you open a chest and it gives you a guaranteed item from the 30th collection. This game mode can be really repetitive because, like I said, you're going to the same area each time, but maybe different enemies. But just like the other game mode, you can grind at it and you get better rewards as you rank up. So let's say again, you get bored after, let's say 1 or 2 hours. So total so far is now 17 to 22 hours. So that's a lot of hours for not spending a dime. So let's keep in mind a few things. This is all just me making estimated guesses. Technically, you could play for 1 hour of this game and then just give up. Or you could find a game mode and play for 6 hours straight. What I'm trying to show to you is that if you try everything there is in the free version, giving everything a fair shot, this is what I'd estimate that you could spend in the game. So I came up personally with 17 to 22 hours. Even if we changed around some of the variables, it could be lower, maybe 13 to 18 or 10 hours or something like that. So let's say your range could go anywhere from 2 hours to 25 hours of gameplay without spending a dime and without even repeating that much. And this doesn't include the time you could spend if you want to rank up just 1 or 2 of the various bounty givers. And the best part is that by doing all the various modes, completing bounties, and for the most part just having fun, you should be at a good enough power level where you can start taking on some of the in-game stuff. And you didn't have to grind that much. You didn't have to repeat that much, and all within the same amount of 10 to 20 hours. So anywhere from 2 to 25 hours of gameplay, and all of the stuff not necessarily repeating that much. I would say that that's actually more that you could get in a full $60 game. So the hard question, is Destiny 2 worth it free to play? 100,000,000,000% yes, it is totally worth it, even for a new player. I really did. I tried to go into this completely cynical and completely objective. I wanted to be as crucial as I could be, but honestly, I had a blast. Even if you're going in on this for your first time and you're going in on this never had playing Destiny before and you're finally taking that plunge, it's good. Yes, you're going to be behind people on a number basis. Like, let's say my gun only has 1270 as a power level and my friend's gun has a 2000. So yes, you're going to be behind, but the way the scaling of the game goes, he might be able to kill them in one less shot, but I'm still able to hold my own and still able to have a really fun time and not feel like I'm being held back by being a lower level. And that right there is the genius of this game. Being able to go toe to toe with somebody at a 400 level and still feel like I'm doing just as much damage to the enemies is a great feeling. My personal experience after I finished all the opening quests, I had a blast from the start to the end. And only about halfway through going through some of the strikes, I was at a power level where I could take on Nightfall strikes. Nightfall strikes are harder versions of the strikes. This is in-game stuff, and I'm able to take it on without even doing all the strikes in the first place. So the flow of loot is extremely well done, and it feels great. So now the other purpose of this video. Do I think it's worth it? And therefore, could anyone reasonably get into it to justify grabbing the next expansion, the Witch Queen? Yeah, I think so. I think it's worth it, definitely. Even if you never wanted to spend a dime on this game, there is still a path for that. And you still could enjoy the game and almost everything that it has to offer without having to take a $40 plunge. But I do personally think picking up the expansion pack is a good idea. The good news is the Witch Queen is $39.99, so not even a full price game. And I'd argue the amount that you could do for the free version is way more than $40 worth of gameplay. And on top of all that, you do also get things like battle passes, which also give you exotics and tons of crafting materials and just so much to do in this game. You should definitely give this a shot and finally get that one friend off your freaking back. So that's my experience. That's how much fun I had on Destiny 2 in 2022 as a free-to-play player. I think I'm going to be picking up the expansion, but now I definitely want to hear from you guys. Did you play it at the beginning and you just fell off? Have I convinced you to at least give it good old college try again? Are you going to be picking up the expansion now, or were you always going to be picking up the expansion? I would love to know, and I would love to hear from you guys. So go down in the comments below and, let's get a conversation started. Thank you so much for joining us today on ThreadX Productions. I was Nick. I hope you have a wonderful day, and you guys have a good one.